Hey everyone, welcome to the Coach on Command podcast. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. We are going to introduce each other. So we're gonna have some fun with this, and so I would like to introduce to you the gentleman all the way on my left, 175 pounds of pure parkour awesomeness, who never has a hair out of place and a wonderful beard, by the way. That would be Coach Tracy Chaddock, who is our parkour instructor down there. And, he's got some fans here. So there you go. That is Coach Tracy down all the way at the end of the table for me.
And I have for you your one and only teenage heartthrob, Kaegan Pierce. Let's get ready to be humbled!
See, I'd like to introduce our benevolent dictator, His Majesty, Sith Lord, the Czar of Gymnastics Sport Center, the Grand Inquisitor of Gymnastics, His Eminence, Saint Sir Head Coach Arron Littleton, the White, the Wrong, the 14th of Lithuania.
I'm just really surprised that you can't do that just sheerly from memory.
I can do most of it. I have to.
Not impressed.
Dog.
Listen. He spends all day having people not be impressed with him. Why would you say that?
Why are you any different?
All right, so that wonderful introduction will suffice for our show here today. So, now you know who we are and some things you probably didn't want to know about us. So if you're enjoying this ridiculousness that we put on each and every week for you, then please feel free to remember to like, to comment, to subscribe, all of that good stuff. And also, as promised, we are now, Coach on Command is on Facebook, so you can go on there, you can like and follow us there, and you can check out all of our videos. And yeah, so if you're on Facebook, so are we. So give us a thumbs up there.
And if you ever want to ask us any questions, you can email us at askcoc@yahoo.com.
That's right. We are now professionals.
Got him.
Sure. Whatever you say, man.
Hey, if I got you convinced.
If it works.
All right. So we are going to talk about trust tonight. The level of trust necessary in this arena between the athlete and their coach is unlike anything that I've ever seen in sports before. Likewise, the level of aptitude needed for us to do our job is unlike anything that goes on in most sports, especially youth sports, I would say. And so, I played a lot of sports, group sports growing up, team sports, I guess you would say, growing up. And, all of my coaches had a day job. My coach was out there. He was an electrician. He didn't really know, he didn't really know a lot. Not to be hating on electricians, I'm just saying. The level that he had to hit is much different than us who are professional coaches, believe it or not. And so... Yeah.
I could say professional.
Anyway, my coach was an electrician, and never at any point was he responsible for my immediate safety. Now, he might be like, hey, Aaron, somebody's about to hit. Try not to get hit in the head by this line drive. But he definitely wasn't running after me as I'm flipping through the air, with my life in his hands or anything like that.
Catch me.
Yeah, catch me, please. So immediately, this sport is something different altogether. So the question is, what are some tips that you guys have for developing trust? You've got to have the trust of the people around you, of your gymnasts, of your athletes. What is the way that you're going to try to bond and develop that trust with your kids?
I think it can be broken up into two separate things: trust as a coach and trust as a person. For trust as a coach, it's reps for me. You get as many in and making sure they're as safe as possible, and they'll eventually trust you to coach. But trusting you as a person, you have to get to know them, know their likes, their dislikes, learn the ins and outs about them, and they'll eventually be increasingly comfortable with you as a person as well.
So I would say you definitely just need to be honest with them. If they're doing well, you need to tell them that. If they're doing poorly, you need to tell them that. And sometimes that's a little bit harder. And I'm not saying, be a gruesome monster about it, but you've got to strike both sides whenever it comes to that. If all you tell them is that they're great, especially if they're relatively not, then I bet at some point they'll come to mistrust you. Especially if you only tell them that they're bad. That's not a way to win over anyone. So you've also got to have an understanding of, and this might sound a little weird, but a psych evaluation of them. Sometimes you got to understand what their presence of mind is, so that way, manipulate is a terrible word, but so that way you can better work with it. Because sometimes what we're asking kids to do, especially in this sport in particular, is a little bit more out there. Yeah, you definitely got to understand your kids. You want to be honest with them, both the pros and the cons, I would think. Because if you're gentle with your criticism and I guess loud with your praise, I feel like that's a good way to develop trust.
I think that's pretty well said. Well said indeed. So the things that I'm going to say is, obviously, the good news is that there's a lot of different things that you can do to develop the trust that you need with the kids that you're working with. Number one is I found do what you say you're going to do.
Yes.
There are so many coaches, and I hear this all the time. Other gyms, not this one, but there's so many coaches that are like, hey, do this back handspring, I'll spot you, and then they get out there and the coach goes, and they pull their hands out. They're like, see, you could do it. You didn't die. And it's like, that's a terrible way to build confidence, because now you're like, wait, what's going to happen? Like, I don't trust this guy. I think you're going the wrong way there. So number one, do what you say you're going to do. If you're going to spot them, let them know you're going to spot them. If they're ready to do it, you've got to develop confidence. And that's what we're talking about. We've talked about that in the past, but yeah. Number one, do what you say you're going to do. Don't tell somebody you're going to spot them if you're not. Don't try to trick people. The second thing is, show that you've got a genuine care about them, that you care about them as a person, not just an athlete, not just what they can do for your program. And kids generally are pretty intuitive that way, and they can tell who really cares about them and who does not. And so I think that can really help you. And the other thing is, show yourself to be competent in what you are doing. Nobody, and I think you kind of touched on it a little bit. It's like nobody's ever going to trust you if you have no idea what's happening. You're like, oh, well, we're going to go over here and then we're going to do this. It's like, there's nothing for them to trust in. You've got to be a staying presence. You've got to make sure that you know what's going on, that you're in control as much as anybody can be in control in this crazy sport that we're in. And all those things that will really help you. Now, and the last thing that I'll say is if you've got younger kids or, new to your gym, normally they're a little bit shy. I work with shy kids every once in a while. You've got to find a way to kind of break the ice. And so it helps to be a little bit funny. It helps to make a joke, whatever, just say something off the cuff. You got to loosen them up a little bit, because they can be so far in their shell that they're not responding to anything you're doing. So now I will say the caveat to that: if your name is Braden and you work at the Gymnastics Sport Center, do not do this, because you are not funny. All right.
Well, I recently had a kid join my parkour class, and he's from Germany. He speaks German. His English is better than he'll let on, but like you said, he's a little shy. He's come out of his shell quite a lot in my class now. He's a class clown now. But at first, it was difficult to speak with him, not because his English was especially poor. It's not very strong, but it's getting stronger. But to help facilitate that and to make him more comfortable, I started learning some German, so that way I could just talk to him a tiny bit in his own native language. It really brought him out.
So, obviously, it's not just the kids that you're trying to develop a bond with, especially if you're in any sort of team sport. Like, if you're in... if you're in like a competition, on a competition team, you've got to develop and have a relationship with the parents as well. It's not just the kids, and so they can be a little bit different than the kids, trying to win them over, trying to develop a rapport with them. So you have any thoughts on that, on dealing with parents, Kaegan?
A lot of the times, once the kids trust you, the parents will usually follow suit. But like teaching gymnastics, not everybody's the same. So when I try and build relationships with the parents, I often tell them about their children, because parents love hearing how well their kids are doing and whatever they're doing. And as long as you keep doing good things with the kids, the parents are going to really like you. And then the other thing you can do is learn about them like you're learning the kids. You tell about yourself so that you learn about each other, so that you can better understand each other, and trust will follow. I want to say quickly, but it's not as quickly as most people think and or hope.
I would say, honestly, just not ignoring them goes quite a long way. Technically our focus is the kids, and that is absolutely the truth, but also you've got to build rapport with the parents as well. You've got to get to know them a little bit. As Kaegan said, we've got one student here. Her mom is in the plays in town. There's a theater, and she performs there, and so we went to watch a play. That was great. We got one of the pamphlets and had her sign it. It was a sweet little moment. Got a picture. Built a lot of rapport there. We get along great with that kid, and I think we get along great with that family in general. So I feel like there's a fair bit of trust there whenever we try to instruct their child now. So small talks can go a long way. I'm not saying that we have to have a full-on conversations every class, but even just chatting a little bit about yourself, learning about them, it goes a long, long way just getting to know them even a tiny bit.
I agree. I think number one, the word you're looking for is playbill. That's the name of the.
What is it? Wasn't a playbill, but playbill. You're right, I guess. Hey, I'm capable of being wrong.
You heard that. Aaron is right.
Hey, have I ever told you that you were wrong?
Repeatedly, yes.
You yes, him no.
A couple of things that I'll say as far as tips for parents, and it's a little bit different. Like I said, just somebody who comes to your class once a week. That's one thing as far as developing a rapport with the parents. Like I said, whenever you're on a competition team, these parents have been in my program for 5 or 6 years, 2-3 times a week, and it's like you've got to really kind of, you've got to have a different relationship with them than I think the people that you just see once a week, and also you're taking their kids and them out in public to other gyms to compete with who represent you, and it's just. It can be a can of worms, and so you've got to, if you don't have the right parents and you don't have the right relationship with them, and so number one, and this is the same as the kids. One day I will not cough, but you can, the number one thing is that you show that you care about their kids. If they get the sense that their kid is just a dollar sign to you, or their kid is just a number on your team, or maybe somebody to put banners in, in your gym, they will not hesitate to remove themselves from your gym, and so you've got to let them know, number one, I care about your kid, and I care about them as a person, and I want the best for them aside from the sport that we're doing, and that goes a long way. The other thing is that I found is that you've got to have an open lane of communication with them, especially if they're here all the time. Every parent on my team has my cell phone number, and it's like, call me, if you've got a problem, because problems will arise, and especially when you're talking about competition gymnastics, which is putting a number on what seems like either the child's value of themselves or the parent's value of them as a parent. You know what I mean? Things get real weird, and I've had great relationships with parents who, as soon as they get to competition, and all of a sudden their daughter gets a 7 instead of a 10, and it's like, whoa, this is a completely different person. And so I think having that open line of communication, number one, they've got to learn that you love their kid, that you care about their kid, and once that happens, it's easier to talk to them, and it's easier to be like, okay, this is what we're working on, and I explain myself a lot. If they have questions, it's like, the buck stops here. I'm responsible for what's going on in this program, and so you can call me if you got a question about, hey, why are we doing this skill instead of this one? Why is she not receiving full credit because of this? It's like all of those things. You've got to have an open lane of communication, and they've got to know that they can talk to you, because if they don't, they'll just make up stuff in their head, And I mean, it sounds funny, but I've seen this happen. It's like because parents, generally speaking, do not spend all their time in the gym. They're not gymnastics aficionados, and so it's hard for them to comprehend really what they're doing. If their child isn't doing well and they don't know why and they don't feel like they can talk to you, they lash out. And so the more that you can do to kind of assuage that feeling from them and let them know that they can talk to you, and you'd be more than happy to explain why this is or whatever. You are the expert in that situation, and they've got to know that they can get a hold of you and that you'll help. So, just a thought from somebody who's dealt with a lot of parents in both great and bad situations.
He's been there.
Well, thank you. I try. I appreciate that. And so here we go. Last question of the night here, and this is actually Tracy's question. I'm gonna give him a shout out because
go me.
because I had a less proficient question, and Tracy came up with this one, and so here we go. If trust is broken, how can it be repaired?
I gotta say, this is an exceptionally difficult. Not only is it a difficult question to answer, but it's a difficult achievement. It's not. I wouldn't say that it's impossible, but I would say that it is not a timely event. It's going to take a lot of time. One, consistency. If you're going to try to move forward from a mistake, you need to be much more consistent in the progress that a student makes. Either your progress with the student, building that rapport, or facilitating your student's progress as an athlete, as a performer, whatever the case may be. I think that with a lot of time can help repair that relationship.
Do you have anything?
No.
There is no answer.
There's not really like a great answer, but I don't have much experience in this. Y'all been doing this a lot longer than I have, so I'm not entirely sure about this one.
Okay. Well, then I also have an answer. And now this hasn't happened a lot. I mean, we generally do our job, and but also we're human, and so sometimes we'll mess something up. Now, I'm not out here dropping kids on their face or whatever, so I don't really have to do that one a whole lot. But
I'm totally joking.
I'm about to drop you right now. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, and so we do a good job, and the coaches generally do a good job, and so, but sometimes some stuff happens, like administrative stuff. Maybe we charge them, we charge them too much, or charge them double, or charge them not at the right time, or whatever. And it's like, any time like that when it's like, oh, there's been like a weird thing that happens, Tracy said it, is how can it be repaired? And the answer is slowly.
Slowly.
And so you try to do the best that you can, but again, the things that I mentioned earlier, showing that you care about the kids, and also trying to communicate maybe what went wrong, or how we're gonna keep this from happening in the future. All of those things can help with this, but yeah, slowly is the progress after trust has been broken, if they're even willing to deal with you after that. A lot of people will leave, but the other thing is, I think, retrace a lot of the steps that we've done here. You just got to do it at a pace. You've got to again, reiterate that you care about the kids. You've got to help them, understand that you are competent, even though there was a mistake made, and understand that you've got their best interest at heart. And the other thing is that you've got to understand it's going to take time. Things do not just.
This is a process you cannot rush.
Realistic expectations.
Yeah. Wizards can't fix everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's what I would say about that. If you're in a situation, a rough situation, obviously where some trust has been broken, you've got to understand that if they're willing to deal with you, that may be the best that you can get for a while.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go above and beyond and do everything in your power to make sure that that doesn't happen again, that the problem is resolved, and move on from there.
Agreed.
And we have arrived. We have arrived once again at everybody's favorite part of the show, and that is the randomly strong opinion of the day, where we give really passionate explanations of things that do not matter, that either really annoy us or maybe we love or whatever. It's just a strong opinion about something that is otherwise not that big of a deal. So, all right, Kaegan, speaking of people who are not that big of a deal, Kaegan. Sorry, that one just came. I can't help it. It just falls out.
My heart broke for him on that one.
Kaegan.
I'm going to stop giving y'all reactions at some point. I'm just going to stop.
Kaegan, what happened? He just burned you. I'm numb.
I've got 8-degree burns. There's nothing left to burn. Okay. All right, Kaegan, go ahead.
Hats are a great thing. That they are helpful. They are useful. Beanies keep your head warm. Ball caps keep the sun out of your eyes. I'm not sure what cowboy hats do.
Make you a cowboy.
Make you a cowboy, obviously.
It's just like magic. Wizards hats looks cool. But the dumbest thing ever is when you completely throw utility out the window and you flip it backwards. And it's just become completely useless.
It's not completely useless.
Ash Ketchum would throw a Pokeball at you.
Yeah, that's what I
Ash
say.
Ketchum?
And I will have you know that this, aside from looking awesome, this,
Sure, okay.
this and being a very strong fashion trend and fashion statement, MLB catchers actually wear their hat backwards, so that the bill does not interfere with the mask.
See,
And so
that
it
has
does have-
utility.
Uh-huh.
What's your excuse?
I told you.
It looks cool.
It does look cool. And this is my personal style.
Takes him from a 9 straight to a 10, bro.
It does. To an 11.
I also don't like people who live in delusions. I am one of them. I'm also a hypocrite. We've been over this. But
All right, team, my turn. My turn.
All right.
Okay, imagine this. You've gone to the cinema. You've picked up your popcorn. You've got your freezy. You've walked in, you've sat in your chair. And you're so ready for this movie that you're about to watch. But then you realize, by the time the movie actually starts, because of all these freaking ads that they show you, your popcorn's gone, your drink's gone, and now you have to go to the bathroom right at the start of the movie. What the heck is up with that? Why do I gotta watch I gotta pay the cinema to show me 30 minutes of ads? What the heck is this, YouTube with no premium? My goodness, this is getting ridiculous,
you just
team.
get to the theater later.
You think I don't do that? That doesn't mean it's not a problem. So I can arrive, all right, I'm arriving 10 minutes late and I still have to watch 20 minutes of ads?
Then arrive 20 minutes late.
You never really know how many ads they're going to play. And I don't want to miss the start of the movie.
You know, I did assume that one time, and I missed like the first 5 minutes of My Neighbor Totoro. I was so upset.
See, you got to be careful with it.
You're right.
So what
You're right.
option do you have but to suffer through their pointless ads?
For the first thing, I'm still dying inside because you said you go to the cinema. As if it was 1887.
Hey, I was trying to be like prim and proper. I'm setting up.
Okay.
I'm trying to set up a scene. Okay, I was just trying to set up a scene, get you in the zone.
Okay.
And in this zone, we happen to be at the cinema.
You know what? Next time you let me know, I'll get you a monocle for the next time you go to the cinema.
We go to the cinema around here. All right, Coach Aaron, hit it.
Fantastic. All right, so here's the deal. Okay, my brother is in town, right, and he's here for the holiday season.
Sorry about that.
And agree. I don't think I've seen him since last year. He lives in Washington, and works up there. So sorry for that. So he was here, and he was in the living room earlier as I walked by to go to work, and he is watching a YouTube video that sounds like it's in a made-up language.
That was impressive.
And I go, "What are you watching?" And he goes, "Oh, it's in double speed. It's in, times 2." And so my randomly strong opinion of the day is people who listen to videos in, double speed are psychopaths. Oh my goodness. How can you hear this? My life, I go every single day. I run a gym. I do all of this stuff. I deal with Kaegan every single day. And so I do not need more difficulty in my life. And it's like, you cannot even understand what these people are saying.
It's because
Seriously.
your brain runs on Windows 97.
Not an operating system.
Listen, okay, it was solid until you said something. It was good.
95, 98, 2000,
Bro.
not 97.
Ah! That was good.
It was so close. So close.
Wah, 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 wah.
You set the baseball up on the T-ball, and then you hit the tee.
You saw it here first. Kaegan almost had a good burn.
Ladies and gentlemen, I edit this podcast at 2 times speed, so I am a psycho. That explains the sad face I gave you.
I figured one of y'all did, but I figured it was probably going to be Kaegan.
On educational stuff that I don't care about, I do it at 1.5.
Like
schooling.
my brain, like, I was exhausted after hearing this for 2 seconds. I had never heard anybody do this. I listen at regular speed. If I'm going to consume some media, it's going to probably be something that I enjoy, and I want to enjoy it. I do not want to make a job out of it, of me trying to catch up with whatever is going on. So there you go. Maybe I'm old, maybe I'm analog, but there you go.
Definitely analog.
And that's just fine. 2 times speed, people. Get your life together. Including Tracy. All right. So, once again, if you made it this far, thank you for enduring with us. You might also be a psychopath if you're watching this every week. But yeah. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. So make sure you follow us on Facebook for more of this. Make sure you.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. make sure we're going to be coming out with some shorts and other additional content to help y'all up your coaching game. So it'll be great. So thanks for hanging out with us. Please stay tuned for the Boys to Men Lip Syncing World Championships.
And have a flipping great day.
And don't forget to set. Take care.